take care of all of that.
Okay. Then going live to Danny in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, we're back, everybody. With less singing this time, I promise. We are really excited. We have the TASBot here tonight to send us out as our last run of the marathon. And we're gonna start here in a second. Just a quick reminder: the charity we are all here raising money for is the Burn Children's Fund, based out of South Carolina. They help support adolescent burn victims and their families with everything from medical needs to making sure they get to doctor's appointments to sponsoring an amazing summer camp that kids get to attend for free and allows them to have like nurses and stuff there to care for their needs, so they get to have like an awesome summer experience, which, by the way, we've raised enough to send 11 kids to summer camp this summer, which is amazing. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to kick this over to our TASBot team so they can get started.
Hello, everyone. I am Dwango AC. With me here today is the Axeman. He is over he's behind me, so kind of hard to see. There should be 2 cameras on screen, but I actually haven't looked at the stream that you guys are seeing. Also with me is Defendasam, who will be providing amusement in the background.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But the star of the show is TASBot. TASBot is this wonderful robot you can see right over here. What I want to do is quickly explain what we're doing here. We are not doing artificial intelligence. We are not doing anything overly tricky. We do have a legitimate copy of Final Fantasy here, and we have taken that copy of Final Fantasy, placed it on a flash cart from Infinite NES Lives. The INL Retro folks are amazing. Thank you so much to Paul for a donation of a SNROM 256K cart that will allow us to make some small changes to Final Fantasy and play it on a real console. The output you're looking at right now is a real Nintendo Entertainment System top loader. Now, in order to do the tool-assisted speedrun made by the Axeman, we are going to need to clear things out. Did you lose battery?
I think I did.
There you go. All right. Anytime you have something that's battery operated, have a spare. There you go.
Especially on a big stream like this.
Anyway, we are going to play Final Fantasy Tool-Assisted Speedrun made by the Axeman. If you would like to know more about tool-assisted speedruns themselves, head on over to tasvideos.org. You can find lots of cool information there. I am a senior ambassador for the site. The Axeman is also one of our ambassadors for tasvideos.org. This tool-assisted speedrun kind of came from the site.
Sort of.
Yes, sort of.
You know.
In a matter of speaking. All right, as we get started, a couple of quick things. This particular console is in a state that is not going to work right now because the memory is not the way it needs to be. So we need to clear the memory of the console, and we've already cleared the SRAM of the cartridge to get it into a clean state. So here's what I'm going to do. This run is going to be pretty crazy. I've got this terminal up here. Right here, you see us. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Nice, 80 by 12. There we go. I have this terminal going on here, and what we're going to do is clear the memory of the console. We're going to do that right now. Now, your screen is not broken. All those weird lines on the side tell us that we are getting the memory of the console in the right state. So we've now wiped the memory of the console, put a specific pattern in it that matches what the emulator was, FCEUX. Now I'm going to do a quick switch and start the console run, and it'll be a very, very fast transition. So get ready for starting a timer if you've got one, but we don't really need one. All right.
Yeah, the thing about passes is if they go well, they all end at the exact same time.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So there actually is a small variation because of inputting the names that were donated for.
Ah.
Oh, we got a desync here.
We got a desync already, yeah, all right. So now you guys get to see what happens when we get a desynchronization.
So
basically, we just restart.
you may know that the RNG seed is kept in the SRAM. So you have to delete the SRAM, the save game battery of the game, in order to kind of get a consistent start. But it also turns out that Final Fantasy uses uninitialized RAM values, and it uses them in the algorithms that control the NPC movement. And so if you don't have the proper initial state for the RAM, then you can't have this initial state for moving the NPCs.
That doesn't look like it's reading it. Try one more time.
Do you want to blow on it?
Yeah.
It's all about blowing on it.
Yes, that's the magic that makes it work.
Hey, it worked. I blew on and it worked. Okay.
Ha!
Okay, hot swapping. Oops. All right, let's try this again, see if it worked. All right, you can still see that terminal up there. I'm going to hide that terminal, and hopefully we get the right pattern through town. That look right?
Yeah, looking good.
Okay. Second time's the charm there.
Okay. So you may notice that, well, we said it was going to be 4 white mages, and it is basically white mages, except the white mages have been replaced by TASBot. And, you know, I changed a few other things, because TASBot's so nice. He uses help instead of harm, and he also does some TASBot-like things, like re-record instead of ruse. But the run here is going to go pretty much the same as the white mage run. I took the white mage run and I made it to work with this new. Well, we've got a few things that I changed the text to change, and that changed the timings of a few things. Other than that, there wasn't any major like resyncing issues for this task. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and now that we've gotten past this initial situation, we should be okay. By the way, you can see the donated names there. Hawk, Obi-Wan, Win, and Ice3. Thank you so much for those donations earlier. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So yeah, first fight with Garland. We only picked up. Okay, so another thing that I changed here. You know, there's axes in Final Fantasy, but all of the axes are fairly crappy weapons in the base game. And so I changed all of the weapons that our TASBot will use. All of the weapons were changed to axes because I'm the axe man. I want to have more axes in here. So we've got axes. The iron hammer is now an iron axe, and so there will be axes.
Luckily in Breath of the Wild there's both. There's even a double-edged axe, and there's only one tier of hammer.
So TASBot saves the princess, but in Final Fantasy, you know, that's just the start of the story. Yeah, I changed some of the names here. You know, TASBot, he likes the ocarina, he likes to save princesses, and so we've got all these things going on.
Oh, he definitely likes the ocarinas.
But, you know, in Final Fantasy, the ocarina does not warp you anywhere. It really just sits in your inventory until close to the end of the game.
And the game has finally started.
Yes.
Wait, what? Then what was all that gameplay?
That was the intro.
Okay. Why did it take so long? This is supposed to be a task.
It's Final Fantasy. Everything takes so long, even the
yeah.
tasks.
Okay. Good to know.
Defendasam, have you seen Final Fantasy tool-assisted speedruns before?
Not very much.
All right, you're going to represent the audience of the folks that have never played Final Fantasy before.
Yeah, I have never played Final Fantasy. I've never really seen much of its gameplay. I have no idea what's happening.
Well, to that end, where are we headed right now?
So we after this first town, we built that bridge that we crossed there, and we walked around to get on the non-encounter spaces. In the second town, it's the town of Provoca, where the pirates, they're being terrorized by pirates. So we're gonna go beat up some pirates.
Nice.
And those pirates will let us use their ship.
Did one of our TASBots die? Because I see in battles there's only 3 TASBots now. There were 4.
Yes, one of our TASBots did die.
Oh, no.
It was a necessary loss, because when one of the TASBots or any of your characters dies, well, the other characters get to split the experience, and so now all the characters get more experience. And in particular, when killing one of the characters off in the first battle, let us get enough experience so that all the 3 could get a level up. And then now we're gonna have another fight, and if we just happen to lose another of our TASBots, the other 2 will be able to get a level up on this fight. Just in case one of them were to die.
In case, huh? It's almost like you know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I figured Hawk was going to be the next victim.
Also, the messages take more time when you have more characters. So.
Oh, Code Gorilla rated us. Thanks. He's one of our and Coder Wilson's in our chat too.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Coder
welcome,
Wilson.
Everyone. Yeah, we so we've gotten to we got to show this Final Fantasy White Mage's task. We showed it at RPG Limit Break in 2019 with the actual Final Fantasy with the actual Final Fantasy real cartridge. This is only slightly modified. It was actually not too hard to kind of put in the graphics for TASBot. He's a very recognizable bot that you can put in there. The monster graphics are like so amazing. I don't know if I could like match Amano's style there, but getting the characters isn't too bad. That's right, yeah. The luck is kind of all generated. So we're going to head into Marsh Cave, and there's a bit of a walk here. We've got to run away from all the fights. If there's any donations or anything the host wants to get out there, it's a good time.
We do, in fact, have a couple of new donations. Let's scroll down. We've got a lot of them, so let's get down to it. Okay, so $50 donation from Nightcrawler. Thanks for inviting my Zelda 2 randomizer community this year. I couldn't donate during the race, but let's help those kiddos. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun, that run. And a $10 donation from Classic Gamer 76. Shoutouts to Darkmoon, Danny, and JLo for helping me with a smooth and fun first time as race crew member on last night's donation feedback FFR race. And shoutouts to the brave souls that played that, and huge shoutouts to everyone that has donated.
Awesome. So Marsh Cave is where things, if you've ever kind of done played the middle of the game here, this is where the game starts to get a little more real. And actually, the monsters here are really nasty. A lot of them can poison you. And so at this point, usually you realize, I need to power up some more, and these enemies are too nasty. I don't want to, fight the enemies here, so you've got to go out and grind. But TASBot isn't gonna. That's not TASBot style. So instead, we're just gonna.
TASBot's a robot. Robots do the grinding for you, or in the case of a TASBot, TASBot doesn't need to grind.
That's right.
He's already plenty powerful enough.
So, yeah, through the magic of the re-recording, we were able to make TASBot go through all these things.
Without getting poisoned once?
Or even, really take a shot. Well, so every time we get into a random encounter, he just runs right away. And he'll pick up a battery so he can recharge his MP so that he can help the enemies more. Remember, we don't have harm, we have help.
Okay.
As TASBot.
So is MP empathy?
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it.
That's a good one.
I like empathy.
Why do batteries recharge your empathy?
So
So Vandalite, we definitely take complete control over the RNG.
Oh yeah.
Also, there's not only one TASBot.
Yeah. So you might know that the RNG in Final Fantasy is pretty simple. It goes through a cycle, so there's an 8-bit counter that indexes into a table, and it only gets 256 values. And so we can get through all of those values with like one attack from us, one attack from the enemies, and waiting just a little bit, and we can cycle through all 256 of those values. So what we did in this fight was, in the first round, our first character took one for the team, and that let Ice 3 got his re-recording spell off. And that let him dodge, and he finds a badge. As you can see, TASBot, he likes to wear badges from his past events, so TASBot's got a badge now.
Yes, he does. I am afraid to move the camera a little bit to get the full visualization board, but you can see what buttons TASBot is pressing on the screen there.
I think you can.
Oh yeah, it's on.
Is it cropped off on the right there?
No, you can see it on their stream. Yeah.
All four of them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you'll see the up, down, left, and right. Start, select, AB will be represented. It is a Super Nintendo controller for laziness, but so you'll see what buttons are being pressed as TASBot is playing. And yes, TASBot is in fact still wearing his RPG Limit Break badge from this year. Very, very thankful that the Axeman was able to represent the community and take TASBot to that wonderful event.
So
all right.
Yeah. We did, this year, TASBot played Dragon Warrior 2. So TASBot is now a square end NX aficionado.
Nice. Okay, tell us about these bats.
The bats are a lot of fun. They can get in your way, and I really love how the Rando added in this NPC guillotine where you can just talk to things and they disappear, because you don't get that in the original game. They can get in your way. In Marsh Cave, it's not too bad. There's not too many spots where those bats get in your way, but we'll see it get pretty nasty coming up. But for now, the bats get in our way, but I have manipulated them out of the way. And that NPC RNG is actually extremely random, very difficult to manipulate. There's not that many. There's different ways you can manipulate it. One way is just to wait a frame before you step into a town or on a staircase. Another way is to touch an NPC or maybe step in its way. And then you'll get a little, it'll actually tweak the RNG to recalculate its next move. And that will affect because there's a butterfly effect, basically. Every time an NPC moves, it actually it adds a number to this accumulator. And the accumulator affects the next enemy's movement. It's a very, very random, very high butterfly effect type system that is so much more random and chaotic than the actual battle RNG. So Astos, another very difficult fight, and normally he's going to use all sorts of nasty magics, but we've manipulated him to not just attack but miss every time, and we get a crit, which is sort of just barely possible to kind of get this level of luck. One thing people ask is, why don't you have more characters alive so that we could have more people attacking each turn? And one of the main issues is that even if we had 2 characters alive, we wouldn't be able to manipulate 2 of them to get critical hits. And yes, the Matoya needs LEDs, because look at TASBot. Look at his eyes. Those are LEDs, right?
Yep.
So if we wanted to let a blind witch see, we should get her some LEDs too, right? So TASBot has taken it on himself to reclaim Matoya's LEDs from Astos, and we will bring them to her so that she can see as well as TASBot with his very expressive LEDs in his eyes here.
The one RPG I would not like to see TASBot play would be D&D.
D&D?
Yeah, it's the oldest and the one I would not like to see him play, because it would be so OP that it's kind of boring. He just get nat 20s at everything he tries.
Oh, literally a D&D role playing. Oh, well, I mean, unless you wanted to crit fail.
I mean, if you really wanted to, you could, but it'd be only 1s and 20s. Those are the only 2 you would roll.
What if you want to take a Death Warp?
Why would you want a death warp in D&D?
I mean, I can think of reasons. Your DM is not being nice to you. All kinds of reasons. Anyway.
Yeah, but you don't respawn in D&D.
I don't know.
Unless you have a friend who's also a necromancer.
Probably /roll D20. Anyway, we got way off topic.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to Matoya's cave here, where there are 3 chests. And since this is the vanilla game, we're not gonna pick up those chests. We're just gonna talk to Matoya. And I decided that the prince could use some coffee. I mean, I don't know. When I need to wake up, I don't go for the herbs. I go for coffee. So now we've got to walk all the way back down to Elfland and get the prince his coffee.
Yes, because there's no better way to get around than walking. Horses definitely don't exist yet. People haven't invented horses yet.
Apparently.
Yeah. So of
Coffee's
course,
LA.
in Final Fantasy, there's no death warping because when you die, it's just a game over.
Just like D&D.
Yeah, so you've got to play Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest. You know, it was always Dragon Warrior until they got the rights back from some tabletop company that owned the rights to Dragon Quest, and so then they were able to. So that's why the newer Dragon Quest games are kept the name back. So one of the things that we're manipulating here is the every time we get into a random encounter, you notice we run right away. Another issue is that we want to manipulate fewer enemies so that it's easier for us to run. All right, is this a task? Are you TASBot?
Or just is it just a fantasy?
You know, I ask myself that all the time. Is life a task?
I would hope not.
All I can say is never try to task life, because the moment you try to do a load state after going to the bathroom, just don't. Just
That's
don't.
right.
Don't do it.
I mean, I don't know what task tools would you like to have in life? I mean, there's so many useful re-recording, slow down, save states. Oh man.
I mean, they're all great, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to rewind after going to the bathroom. Just saying.
Yeah, I guess
Also-
you got to watch out. Yeah.
Whenever you're just wandering around and you open the fridge, you're saving. That's an autosave.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's why. That's why you do it so often. The game has to autosave, so you just kind of go into a trance and walk to the fridge.
Yeah. That's right. The randomizer did add a game like some sort of save restore when you die. Anyway, so
We won't be doing any
we've
of that.
got the key from the elf, and there's, you know, we can open all these doors. This is really the only thing we really need. We need to do some wall clipping here.
Oh no.
And, you know, if you've seen a lot of TASs, you've probably seen TASBot wall clip and just clip through walls in all sorts of games. So I figured TASBot, he doesn't need TNT to get through a wall. He just needs a good wall clip glitch, and then he's set.
Or a shield.
Yeah, or a shield.
Or, well, yeah. He just needs a good wall clip glitch. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Yeah. So, you know, so we get a wall clip glitch, and we'll take it here to our dwarf. We want to make sure that, you know, everyone gets the benefit of this wall clip glitch. So we're gonna bring it to the dwarves.
Why would the dwarves want a wall clip? They already mine through stone so efficiently.
They're lazy.
Yeah, I guess so. So when I analyze, I have a script that just goes through all the battles in a row that we kind of have between bosses at least, and it will analyze like the most efficient way to run from these battles, because we want to have fewer enemies in each battle so that it's easier to run away, but also there's less lag. So every time a battle loads up, there's like an extra frame of lag for every enemy that shows up. So we can. It gets just a little bit faster.
I guess walls really are just a suggestion to you. Is that what it said?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Why, yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
of course they are.
For TASBot, walls really are just a suggestion.
Why would they not be? Why would they be anything more?
So Dwango hasn't played a lot of Final Fantasy, but he was there for our presentation at RPG Limit Break a while back, and he's played a little because he's been around me. So
I have beaten the game before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A long ago, but I have beaten it. It was laborious.
so there's our wall clip, aka a canal.
A man, a plan, a canal, Panama. I'm sorry, it was too good of a palindrome to pass up. Anyway.
So next we've got Earth Cave, and I mean, if there's any donations or anything that the hosts want to say, like this is a good time because we're gonna be trudging through Earth Cave for quite a bit here.
No new donations since I last read off, but just a quick reminder of the charity we are here to support is the Burn Children's Fund, based out of South Carolina, but they do some work in North Carolina and Georgia, just helping support adolescent burn victims and their families with everything from medical needs to transportation needs, because there's only the one hospital that has the pediatric unit in South Carolina, so they help with a lot of financial things and transportation needs for kids to make sure they get to their doctor's appointments and such, along with their summer camp. So all this money that everyone has raised, which we can't thank you enough for, you guys have been amazing all weekend and embraced our silly incentives on the fly. Everything from Karatnas hats this morning to horrible sing-alongs tonight. So Chad has been awesome, and we can't thank you enough. So if you feel so inclined to donate some more, we will gladly take your money for a good cause. But thank you so much for everything that you've donated so far.
We are like Nintendo. Or we are not like Nintendo. We will not refuse your money.
Yeah, TASBot will take your
Not
money.
tonight, we won't. Tonight, we will definitely take your money.
Well, thank you for all of the good that folks have done long before I was involved with these streams. Okay, these bats were very well manipulated.
Oh yeah. This is like the best spot for bats. Like they're out in force on the 3rd floor here, and we have to not just go. We have to go all the way through, and then we've got to go back. This is they really send you around here. They wanted to make sure you got your money from this game, and so you've got to go in this cave, back out, beat the vampire. We're gonna help him with help to.
It's a big beam.
Yeah.
Help beam.
Yeah, TASBot would not harm enemies, so he uses help. And I wasn't sure what the Titan would like, so my son the Hatchet Boy, he's really been into eating these oven-baked samosas, and so I decided.
Oh, keep going.
I decided that it had to be the samosas. That would be what he has.
Ah, I see. There's a very interesting pun there. Would you say finding that path drove you batty? Well done.
Wow.
Yeah, you've obviously put a lot of effort into manipulating those bats out of your way.
Yeah, we have to, stop and. So like I said, there's a few different ways we can manipulate them, but since this is a task, I want to save all the frames, so I'm trying lots of different combinations between just stepping, waiting like a frame or two before going on. If I can, I step in their way, because when the NPC is about to move, he kind of he does it. So it calculates how long. So it calculates like what direction he's going to move. It like makes this number and then it mods 4 and then that's direction. But if it's up against a wall, then he can't move that way, and so it'll actually recalculate what direction to go. And so if that's the case, then you can actually step in a bat's way, and it will change what direction. It'll kind of have this butterfly effect that goes into that RNG and changes it all. So it's very tricky to get all these bats out, and especially if I'm trying to shave 1 or 2 frames off of there. Like, oh, surely I don't have to wait 3 frames before going in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're making a task, this is the sort of thing you think about. You agonize over every frame. So we've got the ogres. We've got all these enemies. So most of the random encounters we can run from, but there are some random encounters that have an unrunnable flag, and so we want to avoid those. And some of them come up. It has curry chicken inside.
Okay, is it supposed to? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's just what Hatchet Boy has been eating. He has some digestive issues, so whatever he gets, if he gets into eating something, like we get a lot of it. So, but anyway, so we can run for most of the fights. This fight's kind of special. Like we can run from it, but it has a very, very high initiative where it's almost always enemy strike first. So we had to manipulate that into getting a very low probability, not first strike. The other thing is that against most enemies, we have actually been avoiding getting preemptive encounters. We do get it sometimes, but we try to avoid it because that when it says chance to strike first, that's actually taking something like 15 frames every time it displays that. And we're all about saving those frames. That's how TASBot does things. So in Earth Cave, when you get to the 3rd floor, you start seeing some fights that are not runnable, and it just happens that in the no resets path here, that they're pretty much the first time through we were pretty much able to get out of the way, and to some extent we've been preparing for this the whole way through. We haven't actually, so there's a lot of cases where we can like save a step and have fewer encounters, but we kind of are priming it to go through certain areas. And there's ways, you can, if you need to add in steps, you can pace in certain places, but we want to avoid just sort of like doing extra pacing if we can. I mean, here we have to. But then there's, so we're getting to the point where we've got to do some extra steps. And so I decided, pacing back and forth is kind of boring. So we're going to kind of go around, take a little extra tour here. The Earth Cave, there's treasure on almost every floor except the last one, and we don't need it with these. Well, so for one thing, white mages just can't use much treasure. They pretty much, they get most of their equipment from shops. I mean, most of their armor. They can, even most of their weapons, unless you're getting the like effect equipment that casts magic when you use it. But I changed them all to axes.
Every last one.
Yeah.
All axes.
Oops, all axes.
So as you can see, we had an encounter right before the stairs there. That's because if we had gotten that encounter on this floor, we would have seen 2 wizards, or actually 2 to 4 wizards. And, you know, we've put on a few levels since then, but it would still be a pretty nasty fight. So we want to really do whatever we can to avoid that. So we're going to avoid those wizards. We're going to do a bunch of other shenanigans here to avoid more wizards. Because there's also a chance to encounter wizards on the next floor up, or the next floor down. I guess we're going down in Earth Cave.
Me saying that has suddenly produced an idea of making the devs making an Oops All Axes mode.
That would be, I would, that would be how I would play. You know, I've toyed with the idea of making an all axes task where, like, you know, I pick up all the axes because there's only like what 4 or 5 axes in the game in the vanilla game. There's only like 4 or 5 axes, so it would be pretty easy to pick up all the axes and
Maximum effort.
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, axe caliber. Max me. That's awesome. I hadn't even thought of that, yeah. Yeah, whoops all axes.
Oops all berries. I mean, oops all axes. I just love that there's a cereal named that. It amuses me. So it looks like you had to take quite a few steps right there.
That's right, yeah. And, I mean, not only that, we went up to the 4th floor, we got an encounter, or we went down to the 4th floor, we got an encounter, we went back to the 3rd floor and paced some more, all in the name of avoiding these unrunnable fights. And now we can kind of go right through here and avoid any more of these wizard fights. I mean, and you know, we saw we beat them. We beat them in Marsh Cave on lower levels, but it was long. It was long, and you know, we had to use our magic, and we're down to one TASBot too. So
Yeah, we've been there for a while. It's currently raining here.
It raining quite loudly, actually.
Yeah.
Made me take notice.
We're in the top floor of the building we're in right now.
Yeah,
so.
we're under the roof, and there's quite a lot of rain.
the chat with all the important questions.
What important questions are they asking?
You know,
They're not so much asking as
they're making
asking.
suggestions. I mean, if their question was why does it itch, I can't answer that. But anything else, we'll try to answer as many
Do I
questions.
want to know?
No, we don't.
The Hurulich, and you know, at this point we get a real big help because we have 2 bosses in a row that are undead and are susceptible to our help magic. So, and we picked up this help 2 spell in town.
Why is it purple?
I'm not really,
Or
yeah.
Is there any particular reason?
I'm not really sure how
Actually,
they, you know, why they decided how
was
the
one
artwork
purple.
here.
There was one purple and one blue, I think.
Yeah. So the main artist for these early Final Fantasies, his name is Yoshitaka Amano, Amano. And you should look up his artwork. It's amazing. He's a crazy artwork. He's a crazy artist. But yeah, Lich, that fight is insane because he always opens up with that ice spell. You saw we tanked it, but we manipulated really low damage from it. Like that spell hits all your guys really hard. And that's just his first form. We're gonna have to fight him again in the final dungeon, and he'll have an even more powerful spell that he opens up with.
Helpful.
So yeah, he needed a lot of help there. Luckily, you know, we have our help magic. Unfortunately, that's about the end of where our help magic is going to be useful because, you know,
We're out of therapists.
yeah, I mean, pretty much none of the other enemies need help.
They're all stable.
Yeah. So we're just going to have to use our hammers, or I mean, our axes, and our other
axes and our
axes.
Or whatever serves as TASBot's feet. Does he have wheels? How does he move?
That's a good question. I never, you know, I sort of like animated a little bit of like movement there, but you know, he doesn't have wheels. He doesn't have.
Yeah.
Somehow he's able to move.
The canon is that he uses a Roomba, but you know.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
It's
Roomba
just-
is his royal steed.
Yeah.
His loyal steed, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not sponsored by them, so you know.
Oh, if TASBot ever does a speed run of Breath of the Wild, he must name his horse Roomba.
Oh.
Absolutely must. It's probably never gonna happen though, because we can't manipulate stuff in Breath of the Wild like we can here.
So at Crescent Lake here, we're gonna buy another axe. There was already a silver axe and a silver hammer. So I changed the silver hammer into the blue axe. I mean, so in the Japanese version, it's mithril. They have more. I don't know if it was just they wanted to change it to silver because they didn't think we would understand mithril, but or maybe it was just they needed fewer characters because, you know, that's a lot of times why there's not as many. There's not a need for very many characters in JRPGs or for in the text fields there. The text fields tend to be short because Japanese can be a lot more concise.
Why do we have a rowboat instead of a ship? Or was that just because we were crossing river and not
Yeah,
an
river
Yeah.
instead of ocean.
Yeah, so we got a canoe. That was what those sages gave us. We came all this way to meet the sages, and they just said, you know, take this canoe. And they tell you take the canoe and fight and face the go take on the fire fiend. So in the beginning of this game, they tell you that your goal is to defeat the 4 fiends, and that lich, the purple lich that we helped earlier, that was the first fiend. And so they told us to go fight the Carrie, the fiend of fire, in the volcano next. But we're gonna ignore that because we can come back and beat her later. She doesn't actually unlock anything. Instead, we're going to kind of proceed with opening up more of the world by going to this cave where we'll be able to get something that will unlock the airship. I wanted to change the graphics for like the airship or maybe the ship, but I couldn't find it in the Hackster program that I was using. He had a hammer and now it's an axe. You know, I guess that's how.
He made it into an axe.
Of course.
He flattened it. That's basically what an axe is, right? A flat hammer? A flat, sharp hammer?
Yeah, that's the way to think
Sure.
about it. So this is Ice Cave, and there are a lot of nasty enemies in here. And, you know, normally you would be... normally, if you're not manipulating your luck, you're... Actually, so, you know... Until recently, most speedruns at this would sort of be manipulating the encounters, but not kind of your luck within the battle. And if you're doing that, you actually have to be very careful here because there's a lot of really nasty fights here. Like these sorcerers, they have this like instant death attack that's just, you know, so painful that you probably, like, if you were playing with no luck manipulation, you would do whatever you could to avoid that fight. But for TASBot, we can just run right away, so it's not a big deal.
My question is, in this world, why does everything want to kill TASBot?
Everything wants to kill you in every possible way.
But why though?
I don't know. Maybe they want his orbs.
Like,
They want his orbs.
at least
It's all about the orbs.
At least in the Zelda series, they give some tiny explanation that the monsters are created by the evil king.
Oh.
That is literally the manifestation of all things evil.
Oh, okay.
So they want to kill everyone.
Yeah, there's really no explanation on why all these dragons and sorcerers and everything are all after us, but...
Is there a good spot for exposition coming up, and maybe even a donation check anytime
Maybe after. Well,
soon? After this cave?
yeah, maybe after we get through this cave. That'd be a
All
good
right.
time.
Perfect. Oh, we got heal. Okay.
We got help and heal.
Well, the heal. So that's just a potion.
Yes.
So there will be a point in a little bit where we needed a little bit more HP. So I got this potion so that we'll be able to get that extra HP and tank some damage. Now, TASBot's currency is frames. So every time we pick up a chest with money in it, it'll be frames instead of gold. Okay, so here's our next boss, the Eye. And the Eye uses all instant death and status effects. So we just need to manipulate those not to work, which actually... some of them actually have a fairly good chance to hurt you, which is pretty annoying. So we have to avoid that and get some good damage here.
I think I saw Squint.
Squint.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, they're all...
I can't help but notice that eye had a mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny looking eye.
I mean, he's got to sustain his visage somehow. He's got to have something to eat the carrots.
The TASBot, how do you start up a car? Well, or any vehicle. You've got a key fob now, right? So I decided we'd get a key fob.
Yeah.
That's how we summon our trusty vehicle.
Oh gosh. A key fob. Yep.
Yep. So
You're not wrong.
Now we've got to pick up a few more frames here because we're gonna have to buy a very expensive bottle to get through the rest of the game.
The key fob is about the size of his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Falcon. I did shame the eye. That wasn't appropriate of me. I apologize. I'm sure the eye had good dental insurance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, and so after this, we're going to be walking out of the cave and everything, so now's a good time for...
Well, Danny, do you have anything to read for us?
I do. We have one more donation since last time we checked. Another one from Nightcrawler. Thanks for taking us out with hype and style. TASBot and its squishy human crew. A donation of $30. So thank you, Nightcrawler.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that puts us really close to hitting the 6K mark, which would mean one more kid. Like that would put it as a nice round 12 kids for summer camp. I'm just saying.
Get those
We're
donations
really
in.
Close.
If there's anything,
$160 away.
if there's anything I could do at the end here to maybe wet your whistle,
I was gonna say, I don't know, singing and hats have been real big today.
Wow.
hats. Oh gosh, I don't wear hats. I don't even have a hat.
Crap, we don't have hats. I have a pair of gloves, though.
Well, we could turn them into a TASBot hat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
he could be a turkey, even though it's been passed for a while now.
That is funny. Also, if you guys are watching my stream for the first time, it's usually far more chaotic, and there's usually much more stuff going on at the same time, because my streams are always weird. So, a lot of folks who have been to my streams before can tell you this is about as tame as it ever gets.
Yeah.
So, if you want to experience some of that crazy, swing by my stream later whenever you like. I'm at twitch.tv/DwangoAC doing tool-assisted speedrun content, usually practicing for various charity events. Our next charity event will actually be part of MagFest. We'll be taking TASBot to Super MagFest and doing a charity event at MagFast. So if you want to see more charity content, be sure to tune in for that. Tonight's Chaos is going to be a 2P1C rando of sorts. We're going to be playing Breath of the Wild with 2 people, 1 controller. So if you have any interest in that, you're welcome to come on over to my stream later.
Nintendo made an interesting design choice and cut their controllers in half.
Makes it so much easier to do 2P1C.
Yeah.
My stream is the Axeman 301, and I usually, if I'm streaming, it'll be some sort of rando. You might have caught me playing Crystallis Randomizer earlier today. So I play Crystallis Randomizer. Sometimes I even do real speed runs. I also play the Soul Blazer Randomizer. All sorts of things coming up on my stream. So we're gonna cash in. We summoned our flying airship here. I had to Sam actually make one of these airships.
Yeah.
I was trying to describe how the airship works. You've got to have a wooden body and propellers, right?
Yeah, and it is technically propelled by those things. Yes. On
What
the
was the
outside, at
system you were
least.
making? What game was that?
Trailmakers.
Trailmakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could put it on the workshop so that other people who have the game could look at it.
So we bought the bottle. The bottle has a fairy in it, and we released the fairy. I guess the fairy was kidnapped by the pirates there and sold to a caravan. But we were so nice that instead of just taking it from from even though it was stolen goods, we buy it. We buy it and we open it and release the fairy. The fairy gives us oxyale, which we need to breathe underwater to visit the sea shrine.
I feel like that should also waterproof electronics, because I'm not sure that TASBot would do well underwater without.
It would require help.
Yeah, he would require some more help than just breathing. I mean, unless it made like an entire bubble around him, which I doubt. It would require some more.
Yeah, I guess I've played a few other randos. Like I have a Zelda A Link to the Past rando. We've done a few times here. At our task giving, we played. Actually, you and I did the race, and you gave me. Well, I gave you a bit of a handicap. Well, actually, it was. Both times we did that, it was your stream that gave me the handicap, which was I was playing with crowd control. That was a lot of fun.
I can definitely visualize TASBot with those little arm floaty things.
Oh, I mean that would be cute. He'd have to be waterproofed, but yes, please.
TASBot will never win the swimsuit edition.
No, I don't think so.
No.
So I actually have a picture of TASBot with a hat from Halloween this year.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Put that on there. That was Has. TASBot. We had a lot of fun at RPG Limit Break. We have a lot of really good pictures of TASBot on our trip there. So if you're interested in the Crystallis Randomizer, it's crystallisrandomizer.com. You can get to a Crystallis Randomizer. The Soul Blazer Randomizer, I'm not sure what the main site is. You might have to search for that one.
Also, for the two people who might be possibly interested in the thing I made in Trailmakers, that I'm probably going to put that on the workshop as Axeman's airship, I think.
Awesome.
Okay. That did look really cool.
Yeah. So we got to the mermaid floor, but we're just going to ignore the mermaids because we don't need anything from them. We don't need any of this treasure except for an SRS deck. Because if you're trying to learn a foreign language, I mean, that's what I do. I pick up an SRS deck. I played through the Japanese version of this game for language practice and just to kind of get familiar with it. It's actually pretty neat because if you played Final Fantasy, like if you played the early Final Fantasies and then you played, Final Fantasy, the later. Well, actually, they kind of changed so the original releases of Final Fantasy 2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo in the U.S. that were really 4 and 6. Those had a lot of like easy type changes, but later on you got like the different items for things like when you want to unstone yourself, it's a gold needle, not a soft potion. And in the original version of Final Fantasy in Japanese, you can see all those items still have the same name. So it was pretty neat to play in Japanese and get the that original experience. But I have to I struggle a bit. I have to look up a lot of words, and I put them in an SRS deck. I think I don't think I have that deck anymore. I think I lost that Anki deck, but I made a big Anki deck with Final Fantasy words. I've I've done a few games like that. I've done like Dragon Warrior and Soul Blazer. I guess if I'm gonna like TAS a game and stream it and do it at an event, like I'll play the Japanese version to try and learn more about it. It's been pretty neat. My Japanese is not that good, but it's just being able to kind of like get through a game. It's nice. But yeah, get those SRS decks because that'll help you.
So how did you make the TASBot model in here?
Oh, okay. So I used a program, so an older hacking engine called Final Fantasy Hackster, and I hacked the ROM up. I had wanted to go, actually generate a vanilla-ish ROM from the actual randomizer, but the problem was that when I did that, it changed the. So it wasn't just lag changes, which wouldn't have been too hard to resync. But the problem was that it changed some of the timings that affected the NPC movements. And that would have made me have to resync and redo all of the bats, which, as we said before, those bats are super annoying. So it was because of the bats. That's why I couldn't actually just use the actual randomizer output. So I used this older Hackster, and I did the pixel art.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's only about I think you have to get maybe like 3 or 4 poses, and it sort of composes. Actually, so on the outer world, there's only like maybe 2, because it only animates it going left and right, and so there's like 2 poses going left and right, and then in battle there's maybe 4 or 5 different poses you have to do between different animations. It kind of reuses some of the poses, like when it does the victory celebration. One of the poses is from casting a spell, and the other pose is from like attacking. I think something like that. And so like it reuses some of the poses, and so it's not like you have like every single frame that you're animating like I'm making an anime or something. It's but it took a little. I spent a good day or so just cranking out some pixel art for this.
I like the animation for swinging around the axe. That looks really funny.
Okay, so Kraken. This is going to be a pretty long fight because we've got to axe him down with our blue axe here.
Cut him down.
Yeah, we've got the dark status effect. So he squirted ink at us, and in fact, so Kraken has a 25% chance to squirt ink. And if he attacks, it's really nasty. He gets like 8 hits because he's an octopus, and so that would be absolutely brutal. It would be really hard, or if not impossible. I think it would probably be impossible at this point to completely dodge his attack. So we just get him to use that ink every time, and then we fight back. And it just happens that there's a glitch on the dark status condition where it doesn't do anything. I mean, so there's a lot of status effects and spells in this game are just glitched and don't do anything. And so the dark status is one of them. So luckily, we don't mind at all letting him ink us, and then we just keep fighting. So he has 800 HP, and we do 32 damage each hit. It turns out that when we attack with our axe, and then we get hit, and then other RNG things, it goes through the RNG cycle exactly once. So we're getting the exact same RNG luck every time.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when you attack and you see those sort of like dust particles on the enemy, that's using the RNG. So it kind of, I'm not sure, I forget exactly how many times it is, but like, so the flashing on when he attacks you and there's a flashing, it uses some RNG, and when you attack him, and the dust particles, the time that the dust particles appear when you're attacking one of the fiends, since they're the full screen enemies, it's actually longer than other enemies. So it's closer to a full cycle, when you're attacking a fiend versus when we had like a regular boss like the wizards or the vampire. Those are sort of count as normal enemies for the purposes of the animation of the attack.
So is it that Dark doesn't do anything, or that it's just ineffective?
Oh no, it doesn't do anything. So we have the status effect on us. It's just that the dark status effect doesn't have any meaning.
Huh.
Yeah.
That they just mess up the code?
I apparently, because it was hard to playtest things, and especially, they probably, yeah, I don't really know what the development was like, but yeah, it was hard to test things, and so there's just all sorts of different especially the status effects are really buggy, and so because they weren't particularly useful, the status effects are hard to get on, and so it's hard to inflict a status effect, and the other thing is that it's just much more time effective to attack the enemy straight up, and the magic users are pretty weak. They get a very small number of spell charges, and the dungeons are pretty long. Like, if you can imagine going through that Earth Cave dungeon with only a few chances to cast magic, you realize you're not going to get very far if you wanted to fight if you wanted to fight even half the battles, you're not going to be able to use much magic. So, basically, the mage classes were almost an afterthought, it seems, in this game. So, yeah, I think they just didn't do much testing on like status effects and status spells.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It does seem like Final Fantasy had a lot of broken code. You are not wrong.
That's right, yeah. But I mean, it's mostly programmed by one guy, and from that respect, like, it's amazing that he was able to do this. And you gotta imagine, what kind of programming tools did you have in 1989? Not a whole lot. And, they probably didn't have that much of a testing department.
I think that's probably what still amazes me. Is this game really is hell? It's got bugs, and it shows that it was an early example of a lot of things. But man, this game was from the '80s and still
So
rocks.
here's our fellow robot.
Oh.
And instead of a cube, we're gonna get a TASTM board because, TASBot. That's what he's holding here. The TASTM board, which is designed by Onosaurus, one of our beloved community members here. And that's the board. So inside, I guess explaining the hardware here, inside TASBot's head is a Raspberry Pi that is running a full install of Linux. And that Raspberry Pi has a USB connection to an external board, which TASBot is holding, you can see there. And that kind of has the hardware that's actually interfacing with the control port. You can see the line that's coming out of there on one side is going into the actual NES here that's playing the game. And so that's the TASTM board. And that's what we're going to use to transfer to the floating castle, the TASTM board.
Yep. So if you would like to check in on status, we are not making these to make money. It is a cottage industry. We don't make very many of them at all. But if you are interested in TASBot merch or a replay device of your own, you can go to shop.tas.bot. But again, it's not something we're doing for money. Like we don't make an income off of that. I don't even think that there's any in stock right now. But yeah, that's a TAS-TM32 replay device made by Onosaurus. And the visualization board down below was made by Micro 500 many years ago now. It's still working great.
So, as you can imagine, it was a fairly high level of RNG manipulation to get that robot to be in the right spot. Because, if you walk one step into that room, you step onto a spiked tile that will get you into a random battle. And you can run from it, but it's still, it's still a pretty good time loss when we can just make the robot go in front there. So we're going to bring our SRS deck to Dr. Un, and this is, I experimented a lot with manipulating Dr. Un here because we want him to move towards us, and this was actually worked out the best. The SRS deck, it's really all you need to learn a new language.
Apparently. I noticed that you also pushed against another enemy down below. Or,
Yes.
no, I'm sorry, not enemy, but...
Yeah, these guys are just townspeople.
Yeah,
but
townsperson.
So yeah, by pushing against them, so if you push against an NPC, it will actually, and so every NPC has two variables. There's the direction. There's a counter that counts down, and when it counts down, they take another step. And if that counter is at a certain level, then it and you push against them, then it drops by a certain amount. So you can manipulate things by pushing against them. What language did we learn with the SRS deck? It was whatever they speak in Lufin here. Leafin in this version. So we've got our Mage Axe. These zombies, they show up like crazy in this area, and it doesn't take very long to take them down with the Mage Axe that we've got here. The Mage Axe casts Fire 2, and so with that we're able to kill them pretty fast because they're weak against fire. And that was actually better than going a little more crazy and avoiding them. I have sort of an any % task that uses resets to manipulate the encounters a little more. That's a little harder for TASBot to do, especially when you do a hard reset, because not only would you have to turn off the console at the right time, but you'd have to do that console clear every time you did a hard reset, which would be a little
Painful.
onerous. Yeah. So I essentially made a when I started doing this with TASBot, I just made a no resets version because TASBot likes to play that way. The Mohawk guy in Provoca. So we had, you can see that we're down to 15 HP, and earlier it went pretty fast, so you probably, missed it, but we actually used the heal potion that we picked up in Ice Cave. And so if we hadn't done that, we'd be dead now because we've only got 15 HP after taking some damage from those zombies. We picked up the that Mage Axe is going to be so useful because we picked it up. We had a little extra walk in the Sea Shrine there to pick up the Mage Axe, but it pays off real big because we're able to beat those zombies, and it turns out that the next boss is also weak to fire, so we'll get some use on him.
Ah, man, they made this very circuitous.
Yup. You've got to get your use out of the game. If it doesn't take you more than, And again, you can see, if you only have a few spell charges, a spellcaster is not going to be very useful if you're actually going to fight the enemies a whole lot at any point. So that's why you can see they didn't really bother too much with with the magic in this game.
Does TASBot fight Warmac?
No, that's one of the things. I really want to make a task where it has Warmac, but we're not going to get to fight Warmac in this task. It's just the encounter rate with Warmac is so low. It would it's hard to kind of line that up. I might have to make that happen sometime, but so we're going to use our spell and shush him.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
and then,
harsh.
Yeah.
Friend, not food, huh?
So there goes the blue dragon. And of course, for TASBot, this is a pivotal moment because we're about to acquire the item that will make TASBot an unstoppable killing machine. this required a special renaming. It is the TAS axe. So the TAS axe, of course, is, was the Bane sword. The Bane sword uses, that's right, TASBot's gonna become a killbot here. And he's gonna do it with the TAS axe. And instead of, poison smoke, it's gonna have a different effect because it's a TAS axe, right? So we're going to get some extra experience here. We didn't have to kill these guys, but we're going to get a lot of experience from beating these guys. And they're going to get desynced from the TAS axe. That's how TASBot rolls.
I love the phrasing.
The TAS axe has 3 out of 256 engraved.
That is pretty amusing.
So you might wonder why we needed some extra experience. And, well, if you've seen this run, you probably know. We've shown this a few times, but if you haven't, then, just stay tuned. Because we needed some extra levels to be able to pull off something, a special ending. Because remember, this is a completely, except for the graphical and text mods here, this is the real Final Fantasy. And we've done the same tasks on an actual real console. So this is all stuff that can, happen for real.
Ah, yes, the bridge you cannot get past.
That's, so the encounter rate on this bridge is higher than the rest of the game. But it's just one bridge. And that you need that higher encounter rate. It helps you kind of get to Warmech. But still, you've got to go through all the encounters. I forget if I looked at how many encounters. It was something like 20 encounters I would have had to go through to get to Warmech at this point. It was pretty long.
Did you see that wonderful pun about...
The circumflex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so we have desynced the third fiend, Tiamat. So now we have one more fiend that we skipped earlier. And so we could have come here as soon as we had the canoe, but, that would have led to a long, nasty fight. Instead, we're going to use our new TAS axe to desync her. It'll make the fight much faster. Plus, we can ride the airship straight here instead of having to go down all the rivers. So much faster to wait until the end for this part. We had 15 HP when we came in. Of course, we keep, we lose HP every time we step on here, and we need to add some extra steps. So the only reason why we're not stepping on the lava all the time is because we actually need to take some extra steps to run up our encounters and get to a certain point on that encounter list. So most of Gurgi Volcano, all of the fights are completely runnable. There are a few fights on the bottom floor that you can't run from, and so we need to avoid those. But we also mostly what we're thinking about is setting up for the final dungeon. So for the Temple of Fiends is just really nasty. There's all sorts of fights that you can't run from, so we're going to do our best to try and cut that down. And part of that is by just walking a little more here, getting some extra encounters.
I love that pun, Coder Wilson.
Oh, that's great. So I can totally give out the IPS patch for this hack here, and if anyone wants to like finish extending it to get TASBot into the randomizer graphics, feel free.
I do like that little animation.
Yeah. So I didn't bother making the graphics for the Ascended for the the White Wizard class because we never do the class change. So I didn't have to worry about what would TASBot look like after he changed classes. So we have defeated the 4 fiends, or desynced them at least. And we're going to visit the inn, which of course resets our, it fills up our HP. It also fills up our spell points.
Does it also fill up our empathy?
Our empathy, our MPP, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to pick up a last spell called Hug. I mean, if we're helping, right? Our magic is TASBot's magic is all good. It's, so we helped people before, and now we're going to pick up the Hug spell because we don't want to make, we don't want to make Chaos afraid. We want to hug him.
Hug him to death.
No, no, no. We want to make friends with him.
Okay. Actually, yeah, befriending Chaos.
Befriending
would be on
him.
our side.
We're gonna befriend Chaos, and he will become friendly. And that's how we'll finish this game, because TASBot is just, Garland or Chaos. He just wants to be friendly, right? That's why he went through the bother of this 2,000-year time loop, right?
I think making friends with chaos would, in fact, itself be chaotic.
Why, yes, of course it would. So this is the perfect stream to do it.
So our first obstacle here is the Phantom, sort of an upgraded eye that looks a little freakier, but
Hey, no body shaming.
I mean, I don't know how you could body shame him, since I don't know if he has much of a body.
Vapor shame? Is that a thing?
Eye shaming?
Tentacle shame.
We're going to stop right there.
Wow. So we played our ocarina to remove the slab here and go back. Oh, actually, no, we had already gone back in time. So it's when you go through the orbs, that's when you go back in time 2,000 years. But now so this was a fight that we couldn't run from, so we had to actually desync them with our TAS axe.
Chops frames in half.
And everything else, too. Gotta have more ninjas, huh?
Yeah, TASBot, he
Axe
doesn't just
wielding
run away
ninjas.
from everything in the Temple of Fiends on the first try. He runs away from everything in the whole game on the first try. And he never gets first right. And we're not going to worry about the nuke spell. I mean, we only have one TASBot, so it's not like we could use that stone trick. So we're just gonna have to beat Lich before he uses nuke.
TASBot has mastered the art of cowardice. Well, why fight a battle when you can just ignore it?
That's right.
And a lot of games are a lot faster if you just don't fight anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you probably know about the 253 out of 256 odds. So where that comes from is the way the game is programmed, when there's a status effect, it takes a roll from 0 to 200, and it computes a threshold based on the enemy's magic resistance. And then if he's weak to an element, then it goes higher. If he's strong to the element, then that threshold gets set to 0. And the status effect will work if the roll is less than or equal to the threshold. And so this less than or equal to is important. It's almost certainly a programming oversight here, because that means that if we roll exactly 0, you can get a status effect to work on an enemy that should be immune to it. And that's why we're able to get this TAS axe to desync every enemy. And we're also able to do things like make our sh spell work on every enemy as well, our mute spell. And, similarly, that hug spell, that'll work on every enemy if we can, make it work with this particular 3 out of 256 glitch. And the way the 3 out of 256 comes from the fact that in our RNG table, so remember we have an 8-bit counter, and it points into this table of 256 numbers. And if you look at this list of numbers, it looks like they took all the numbers from 0 to 255 and just shuffled them. But it's actually, if you actually look a little closer, no, there's some numbers that are doubled and others that are left out. And so there's 2 zeros, and so you've got 2 zeros that you can land on that will get you your TAS axe to work. And then the 1, since it gets normalized from 255 to 200, that process will take the 1 and turn it into a 0. So that will also work. So that's how you get 3 out of 256. Now the thing is, if we need to go first, and we need to go first on these bosses, because if they go first, everything they do will instantly kill us. So we have to go first, and we have to get this thing, our TAS axe, to work. And so when you put that together, then the odds become 1 in 256. The TAS axe is better than Nuke. All right, here's the end. We're finally on the last floor. There's actually no enemies on this floor, which is nice. And we're finally meeting up with Chaos. Who's our puny lot thought we defeated him. So, we could use our TAS axe, but that wouldn't be classy enough. That's not how TASBot rolls. Instead, we're gonna shush him, and he's gonna keep trying to cast magic. He does almost every turn, and then we're gonna use our hug here. And I changed the animation a little bit here.
Oh, I didn't notice the heart until now. And it became friendly?
He became friendly. So every time we cast hug, he becomes a little friendlier.
I'm getting Undertale vibes here.
Yes. Yes, I feel.
We almost should have put that in there, huh? So after casting hug 4 times, which we had to, get those extra levels to get, and then, well, he says, "Let's be friends." And that's time for the run, by the way.
Yeah. And he leaves happy. He's just very loud when he's walking and makes the whole room shake.
So,
Yeah,
that's how TASBot and Chaos became friends.
He leaves happily and in pieces because he teleports, but it's just very slow.
If anyone would like to know how to make tool-assisted speedruns in general, head over to tasvideos.org. If you'd like to be part of the TASBot community, head on over to discord.gg/TASBot. That's discord.gg/TASBot. One of the friendliest communities you'll ever join. I am Dwango AC. This is the Axeman. With me is Defendisam. We're very thankful that you gave us an opportunity to show this tool-assisted speedrun with a little bit of modifications made by the Axeman. It was his task and his mods. This was done entirely on a real console with TASBot connected to the controller ports. So if you have any questions about that, just come and swing by our community. I'm going to hand it over to anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No. Yeah, thanks again for having TASBot. This was a great experience, and it was so much fun to make this this setup. All of the this is the same task as just with the modifications. So all of the things that we did will work in the real console. You can actually look up our older run from RPG Limit Break. And yeah, if you're interested in tassing or tassing Final Fantasy, especially in particular, feel free to join our Discord and ping me. And yeah, I'll be around.
Well, thank you so much, Danny. I'm going to let you take it over. We appreciate the ability to come here, and thanks for letting us close out the stream. We're the TASBot crew here, by the way, is going to keep streaming on my channel on twitch.tv/DoingoAC, but we'll be heading over to TP1C Breath of the Wild, so if you want to see some of that action. But I'm going to hand it back over to Danny. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We were all incredibly excited when we saw the submission come in for the marathon. This was a blast and a half, and we all loved it. So thank you so much for participating. This was great.
Absolutely.